G'day guys, it's Nick here. I'm here with Daniel. We're in the studio of Dice Jar.
Yeah, really,
We're here to bring you a podcast about Flesh and Blood.
definitely. Really awesome to be here. Lots of exciting fab things happening over the past few weeks to talk about.
Yeah, very exciting things. I think we should start with the main elephant in the room, the pre-release weekend.
Pre-release, yeah. So, pre-release for me was really exciting. It was our first opportunity to open some...
So let's start off by explaining the pre-release weekend.
All right.
So we had a pre-release weekend just gone. Starts out with you get 6 packs. Everyone gets 6 packs.
Yep, two cold foil promos.
And you got to build a deck out of it in 30 minutes, and then you start playing rounds against each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to tell me about your packs?
So, yeah, I was really excited for the pre-release because it was going to be our first opportunity to open some first edition Monarch packs, which is really exciting. So we got in there and, hoping for some cold foils, hoping for some Majestics, and my pull was actually really strong. So I happened to pull a Runeblade Majestic weapon, the Reaping Scythe, I believe it's called.
Yeah, Dread Scythe?
Dread Scythe, that's it. So it's a weapon that attacks for 3. It costs 3 resources, so you pitch a blue for it, and it deals, crucially, 1 arcane damage every time you swing. So that card was an all-star, and was a build-around card for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any cards that you had in your pre-release?
So I sat across from you as we were opening these packs, and I didn't really pull anything too great. I did pull... I think I did pull a Majestic. I can't remember what it was right now. It wasn't great. It was not great.
It was not good? Oh,
it was not a good Majestic. It was Rouse the Ancients, the one with 13 power to get...
Just unplayable.
Unplayable and sealed, unfortunately. I played Prism. I chose Prism. I thought it would just be an easy deck to smash together. Not really a lot of thinking.
So Prism's one of the most hyped heroes coming out of Monarch because she's brand new. What did you think about her? Did she feel really different?
God, she was hard to play at first. Just like figuring it out. Yeah. Just being instantly blocked by 6s and then losing it really made it rough early.
Yeah.
The only good matchups I had was against other Prisms where you couldn't block anyway, so you couldn't insta-kill their thing anyway.
Yeah,
and then it just ended up being like a skill game where someone like me against the new players that were here on that night meant I just got the slight advantage I needed.
I came into the pre-release with quite a competitive mindset. I wanted to take away those mats because they're really beautiful and have them for myself. So I wanted to play a deck that would win, and for me, we know now with hindsight that Prism is doing really well in pre-release events, but at the time I just thought this class is too new, too complicated. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm gonna either do a big stompy deck or an aggro deck, just so I can play it consistently. So Chain kind of was really useful because with the arcane weapon I can have a late game with the swinging and then also be really aggressive.
Yeah.
I looked at my warrior pull as well. It's just like a good mid-range deck, but the cards just weren't quite there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Prism's really cool, but I just didn't quite have the confidence to play her straight off the bat.
Now looking back at it, I'm pretty sure in my pull I had like 3 Seeds of Agony, and I really should have played Kane at that point because it's just...
So, Seeds of Agony, if you don't know, is a 0-cost Shadow Runeblade action that you can play from your Banish Zone. It gives you a next attack action card that costs 2 or less for the red version, plus 1 arcane damage when you attack with it.
Yeah.
So you basically, how the way Chain works is that when you create a bunch of Soul Shackle tokens, you're banishing more cards from your deck. So towards the early game, you're pitching these seeds, so in the late game you can have a turn where you can deal 2-3 arcane damage with your seeds late game after you banish them all. And it's really powerful finisher. Like, it's very difficult to block in this set. So yeah, really, really good stuff.
I did get 2 legendaries from that weekend though. 2 legendaries.
Wow, bringing it home.
Vestige of Soul, very nice, and Doomsday.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I didn't end up pulling them, but I had a couple of friends that came down that play the game but weren't too overly invested in it.
Yep.
and I offered to pay for the entries, and they could play, and whatever prizes and promos they won, they could keep. And
Yep.
I just wondered what was in the packs.
Gets more people playing,
Yeah.
and
It just gets
excited about the
people
game.
in here and playing, which is
Yeah.
I think really important.
Gives people a chance to play when otherwise they might
Yeah.
not have. So it was just really cool. And we did fit out the event. It was a 32 person event, which it ran really smoothly. It was a great event.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people here, new faces, old faces, recurring faces.
Lots of returning players from people that have played throughout Arcane Rising but are a little bit too busy once Crew had dropped to get back into the game, and now getting back into it with Monarch. So it's really exciting. Really, really amazing set. It's totally blown me away, to be honest.
What about Saturday? So we had one on Friday night. How was your Saturday one, do you reckon?
Yeah, well, so on Friday night, I actually won the event, so I was feeling pretty good about my pre-release skills coming into the Saturday, which didn't go well. So my pool on the Saturday was quite average. I ended up building a Levia deck. I had 13 6+ attacks, so I thought I could make it work with some stompy cards. I didn't have any Majestics in my deck, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
But basically what I found was that I didn't have enough ways to banish cards, so I either had to play it like Bad Brute with only a three attack club, or die to my own blood deck, because I had not enough cards that banished, even though I did have a few 6+.
Yeah.
So the deck was really awkward. I ended up 2-2 with a bye, so not great. How'd you go?
I pulled the Shadow Runeblades hooves, or was it the Shadow Brew? I pulled that as my cold foil, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I also got a cold foil, time skippers.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you pulled 3 time skippers that day, right?
Yes. Got a cold foil time skippers and 2 regular time skippers.
I got like 1 for every slot, and then a couple extras that I didn't need.
That's nice.
But
that definitely did help on my Friday run. It was just having iron hides all over. The equipment's so strong and sealed, just being able to block with... Because none of your cards block for 3, so...
I picked Prism again, because at that point I was already like, oh, my weekend's good. I've already like got 2 legendaries. I'm not really here for, to make anyone's experience any worse, and more or less let people win. And I was like, I'll play Prism again. I want to get to know the class a bit more.
Yep.
First round, Olivia. Oh my god.
So did you play Liam?
No, I played Ryan, and he had Olivia,
cool.
And he had like enough banishing going on that he didn't actually have to worry about his blood debt. I was 1-2 away from him dying to his own blood debt, though, if he wasn't able to banish anything. But I can't really attack because he just throws a 6 down and it just dies.
Yeah, I figured that was the issue with Prism, is that she does seem really strong because a lot of people aren't playing Levia and Sealed.
Well, she beats Kane. Like, she doesn't guarantee beat Kane, but she has a better time against Kane because Kane doesn't have higher attacks.
Yeah, she
has a good time against Prism because not enough, or they don't work against each other, so they just go through, or they full block. She has a good time against Bolton because he also doesn't have many 6+ attacks except for generics that you can get. Yeah. She has a terrible, terrible time against Livia just because everything she has is
she just
generally
gets single card blocked every single turn. So
it's really hard to play match.
I think the chain matchup, if you get the Dread Scythe, is quite favoured chain.
Yeah.
Because you can pop the tokens just with the arcane damage.
Yeah.
But that deck is pretty bad if your opponent just blocks you out 100% of the time and you can never get damage through. So yeah, definitely a really cool weekend with some of the biggest events in Dunedin. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's up there. The Friday night up there with our biggest events that we've had down here. I mean, hopefully, it's rejuvenized people's passion into playing this game.
Yeah.
And that they're able to make time aside to come back in. I know there was a few people that were like, oh, I've got free time now. And so hopefully I'll see them again over the next couple of weeks.
Definitely. Some people were really excited to get back into it and play some more games in the flesh and blood, as they say.
Speaking of the flesh and blood, it's, you know what? We haven't explained ourselves very well.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing here?
What are we doing, Nick?
Ideally, this is a podcast where we want to, talk about the game, talk about fun moments from the week. We want to crack pats eventually. We'll have a camera to come down we'll create packs together.
And have guests as
we
well.
want to have guests to have a good time, talk to people, some interesting faces from the community that we're in contact with. We just,
got lots of plans. This is going to be coming out weekly. Yeah. We're not sure of a name yet. We'll be getting to that a bit later.
Yeah.
But so this is really exciting. So for people that aren't familiar, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself, Nick?
So I think, I'll start with myself. I mean,
you're one of the first people to get into Flesh and Blood in Dunedin.
I would say very much I am the first person in Dunedin to buy Flesh and Blood and play it.
So you saw it on Mighty Ape, right?
Yeah. So back in 2019, just end of September, start of October, I actually brought some Indomine cup noodles from Mighty Ape because you buy
humble origin story.
Yeah, I buy bulk packets so that I can just chuck them in my locker at work and then I can just grab them out whenever. But anyway, this package comes down and it comes with a mailer for Mighty Ape. I know I had one before, but anyway, I'm just scrolling through it because I got nothing better to do with my day, and I get halfway through and then there's just a page of welcome to Wraith and a bunch of these hero starter decks, and I was like, you know what, I haven't played TCG in a long time. Like at that point it'd been like 4 or 5 years since I last played a TCG.
So you used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah. So I started with Yu-Gi-Oh back in 2009, 2010. And I played that all the way up till like probably 2015, I think is when I dropped. It was just after they sort of dropped Pendulums. It was like a set or two until after Pendulums. I sort of just felt the game wasn't what it was, and I was sort of taking up other aspects of my life that I wasn't proud of, and I just was like, I need to drop it, and I cold turkeyed out and hadn't touched a TCG until then. I saw that in the mailer, and then I saw that it was like coming out the next week or the week after, and I was like, you know what, we're going to do this.
Gonna start it. What caught your eye?
Brought one of each of the starter decks straight off the bat. Brought a whole booster box, which I thought was big money at that time because it was like it was a good like $200 and something there. And then it arrives and I open up and I'm like, oh, these decks are cool. This is interesting. I'm liking the artwork. I'm liking the way it feels. And I crack my packs, and I think in that box I ever pulled, I think it was a Mask of Momentum was in the very first box. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Keep in mind, guys, this was 2019.
This mask was worth...
early 2020. So these are all cold foil cards we're talking about.
This mask at that time, I believe, was worth like 120 much. Many people didn't think it was worth much more. I don't know. No one believed in the game really at that time. It was which is fair enough.
Yeah, it was brand new, hot off the shelves. I hadn't heard about it at this point.
So anyway, like over the next couple of weeks, I buy more boxes. Like I ended up buying like a box or two a week, and then like my next box I pulled a Tunic, and then the next box after I pulled another Mask, and then I pulled a Scab Skins, and then I pulled another Tunic. Boxes. And then like once I started getting double up of these legendaries, I started selling them to buy more boxes, and I just kept doing this until it progressed. And I think it was like a couple of weeks into October, and I knew that Flesh and Blood had, or LSS had sent out mailers, like appreciation kits, the retailer appreciation kits.
So the retail gift kit with the
before that, they got a pre one with just small stuff in it because they didn't want to like fully compass it.
So is this like
it's just a bunch
IRA
of
decks and stuff,
a couple IRA decks and just a bunch of promotional stuff. And this got sent to like Megazone and Steel Gaming at the time, and which were the two current stores in Dunedin.
So Megazone is still around, and Steel Gaming was run by Mr. Stephen Steele, who's a very special member of the community.
Yeah, I'm sure some of those people know that name.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so I go around to these stores because I see they get them, and I see if they want to like try get a community to play this game. And at the time, both of these stores were like, this is an untested game. Could be like any other card game and die with the next set. We don't really want to like support it and put money into it if we can't sustain it, or if it's not going to make it progress.
A bit of a leap of faith for a lot of the stores, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is like, to me, it made sense. I wouldn't put my values and all my eggs into a basket if I didn't think it was worthwhile. But anyway, so a couple weeks pass, and I'm still like, I go in on a Friday to meet another friend who I'd convinced to buy a hero deck and play, and we go into meeting at Steven Steel Steel Gaming, and
Yep. Obviously, Stephen would have seen it.
Stephen was there. He didn't have any on the shelf, and he asked why I came in because he knew this was the only thing I came in for. And I was like, I'm meeting someone here, and we're gonna play a couple games at the table. And he's like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. And I was like, I'd be interested in teaching you if you want. And he's like, oh, not yet, maybe in a couple of days. And so anyway, I'm there for like an hour and a half, and this guy hasn't shown up. He suddenly like had plans, and he can't come in and whatnot. Yeah. But it's Friday day.
Hold a sword on you.
Slowly as the day goes on, the MTG guys start coming in, and they've got nothing to do until their draft kicks off, and it's not quite there yet.
Do you teach a few of them?
I teach a few of them, and then Stephen like watches me play this game with like two of them, and like teach them and play it, and he comes over and he's like, this is actually pretty cool. And I go, these are spear hero decks. Like at that point I had 2 sets of hero decks, and I was like, these are spear hero decks. I was like, I'm more than happy to leave them here. Yeah. If you want to like try and teach people, like I'm happy to teach you, and then you can go around and teach other people's. And he was pretty keen on that, so I taught him to play at that. And then he asked me if I played any other TCGs, and I was like, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I haven't played any other. Like none of them really fit me. And he's like, do you want to? I sat with him that night, and they did their the draft, and experienced their game. It wasn't really my thing, so it is what it is. But anyway, so. I go home, no one really is playing it. The guy that wanted to play it came in and played. We played like 2 games, and then he basically said he was off to England like in the next couple of weeks, and he probably wasn't playing again. At that point, I was just like, oh, well, gutted, it's me.
Yeah, but Stephen did pick up the game, didn't
he?
Yeah.
So while I was away for a couple of weeks, Stephen had suddenly just realized... this is a game. This is actually a game. And he just started picking it up and putting it on the shelves. And
and this is kind of where I come in.
Yeah, this is where your story starts.
So at the time I was playing a lot of Warhammer. I am an ex-Magic player, but I haven't been playing Magic in a few years. Same story with you. I just wasn't happy with where the game was going. Yeah. So I stopped playing, and I need a new hobby, so I picked up Warhammer. And through that I met Fraser, who's a good mate of mine. He ran the... he was the manager for Warhammer Dunedin down here. Yeah. And anyway, he would play D&D at Steel Gaming. So I ended up joining. So I played D&D there on Wednesday nights. And one night there, I was talking to Stephen, because I talked to him back when I played Magic. And he introduced me to Flesh and Blood. He was like, here, have a look at this. He showed me the cold foils and the rainbow foils, and the cards were really high quality. They looked amazing. So I impulse bought a box of Wraith Alpha at the time, and this was big money for me because I was a student at the time, so $120 was quite a lot of money. Yeah,
it's not like to buy a booster box like in the early game is pretty daring.
Yeah. Anyway, so me and Fraser ended up both buying a box because we decided to get into it together. And in my box, I pulled a Heart of Fendel. So Heart of Fendel. At the time, it was like very new. The card had only really just been discovered, so it was really exciting. And Fraser pulled a Tunic. So these were basically god boxes. Who knows if they came from the same case or not? Yeah. But anyway, that got me hooked on the game because basically I just pulled an amazing card. And I'd sold it to Stephen for $800 store credit at the time, which nowadays that sounds awful, but I have no regrets because that let me buy more boxes. Yeah. Got into the game, got my legendaries, and on a relative budget too, because at that time I'd only really put in a couple $100. Yeah. So I picked up Warrior, and just had a blast. Event started kick firing. Yeah. And I was just really enjoying the game. And in the end, it actually started taking more of a priority than Warhammer because I was really enjoying this and I was actually winning events. So I was actually doing well. So I really liked it. And we're coming through to Arcane Rising's release where a big thing happened. The end of the world.
The end of the world. COVID had hit New Zealand, and we're just before Arcane Rising release, and we're getting a few cases a day.
We did actually get Arcane Rising pre-release. The the weekend before lockdown.
Yeah.
So
So they pushed Arcane Rising pre-release and the release to the weekend before.
Funny story. At the pre-release, I played Ranger, and came dead last.
I played Ranger too, so bad. I was like, terrible.
Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't go well. You can make it work, but at the time didn't know how to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I ordered a case of Arcane Rising, which again was a pretty big investment for me. And that was really cool. Got lots of cards to play with. And then we went into lockdown and didn't have anyone to play with. So it was kind of COVID was interesting because it's like a real testing moment for the game.
Yeah.
In my experience, so it was like I was kind of thinking, oh god, is the game actually going to keel over? Because you can't play. You physically cannot play. And if this game is meant to be in the flesh and blood, no one can meet in the flesh and blood. What's going to go on?
I believe it was probably about the second weekend and the TTS came out, right?
Yes. So TTS, or Tabletop Simulator, is a computer program where someone can create cards and you can basically play online. Anyway, this got us through COVID.
Yeah.
Card Merchant paired up
with Metrics Daily.
With Metrics Daily at the time. And
ran a charity event, I believe.
For dolphins.
Dolphins, yeah. Name a dolphin or save a dolphin or whatever it was.
And this was really cool because we got to play with people outside of Dunedin for the first time as well. So we got to play some big names. I played Jason Chung. I might have played Markovic. I can't really remember. But yeah, really cool at the time because these were names that we'd heard, names at the calling, which had happened before I'd started playing. Yeah. So it was really cool to see what people were doing, and that comparatively we're actually not too far apart, skill level wise at the time. Or that's what I thought. So yeah, that was really cool. What were your experiences during COVID?
So just before we went into lockdown, like the last week, we done pre-release. I actually brought 4 cases.
Yeah, I remember watching you stream them.
I streamed them, opened them, and then Stephen had like pre-bought a lot of stock, but because we're going into lockdown, he wasn't able to sell it. And I basically said to him, I'd be happy to take it off your hands and open it and like pay you off for it, but at this point I can't pay for it. And he's like, yeah, you know what? And he gives me like 3 or 4 cases again, and I end up just cracking them into them and then paying them off for them.
So yeah, Steel Gaming actually closed.
So
shortly into at the very
he took that
start of
as
COVID.
the opportune moment to get out while he could, because the way MTG would be going, it was making a rough impact for his revenue on that front, and it was just more sensible to drop out.
Yeah, so he had already announced that he was planning to shut, and then COVID came along, and he decided to preempt COVID basically, and basically got out at the opportune time, and then started investing in Fab, which turned out to be a very wise decision.
Yeah, so we came out of COVID. So like on the other end of COVID, we came out, and me and Steven started putting in some hard yards into just buying boxes,
bought a lot.
cases, and opening it together. Like sometimes we were buying like 10 cases plus a week, just smashing them open. Reselling what we didn't need, didn't want, and then just buying more with whatever we sold. And we basically did this all the way through until they started announcing that it was running out and the prices started hiking up.
And around the time this store that we're currently in, Dice Jar Games, had opened. So it was kind of a big push by us, myself, Nick and Steven, to get the game really running. Running here and at Megazone. So, worked quite well actually. Because we were just buying cases as they came in. The stores ordered more Flesh and Blood, and we were able to get people coming. We had a few Learn to Play events. We had so I did a Learn to Play with Greg from Dice Jar at what is it? Edge of the World Expo, which is like the Armageddon we do down here. And I helped him out with that, and then we did another one. I think me and you did for a whole day here in his store itself. And we've had a few people.
We had like eight people come through that day that we taught, and
a few of them are still long time. Flesh and Blood players.
I think like only 1 or 2 of them I haven't seen play here in a while.
I think we have a 75% conversion rate or something.
which is pretty good.
Full on playing Flesh and Blood.
And saying that, we need to do another one at some other point. So
now that we have Blitz decks again, it's definitely on the list to do.
Yeah.
Because now that there are Blitz decks, we can get people to play. Say, hey, you can get sleeves and a deck, and we can teach you how to play. That part's for free. Yeah, and get more people into the game and get more Flesh and Blood happening down here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really exciting. So those Blitz decks are available this Friday.
Yeah. So Friday the 7th, I believe.
Yep.
Friday the 7th. Yeah. So they're available, and so is Monarch Unlimited from that day.
Unfortunately, Monarch First Edition has been delayed
for New Zealand, which is it is what it is.
Yeah.
It happens. It's a part of life.
Little bit sad, because I'm really excited for this set.
Really excited to crack packs, but
we're gonna get some unlimited instead. So
it makes up for it. I don't mind waiting for my. I don't have problems.
It'll come. So but really looking forward to that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah. So that's basically the origin of us. There isn't.
Yeah, that's how we got started.
Along the period, so after lockdown, we got heavily into the game, and then they started doing the Road to Net seasons.
Yeah, so that's a really big moment for us. So
this was like sort of the first test of where our competitive skills were.
During that time, me and Nick were taking out most of the events.
Yeah.
So it was either me second and Nick first, or Nick first and me second.
Yeah.
And we were basically staying in each other's places just every night, every other night, just playing lots. Stephen playing too. And we heard rumors, rumblings of a certain fella called Matt Rogers coming down to play. And at the time, we didn't know who Matt Rogers was really. And we were like, "Who's this Matt Rogers guy? He's gonna come and challenge us." Yeah.
So pre-leading to this, they did 2 Road to Nets up in Auckland.
Yeah. And Jacob had won the first one. Yep.
Yeah, Jacob. No, I think Jacob won the second, right? Or did he win the first?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah. So I think Matt Rogers won the first one, and I was like, I don't even know who this Matt Rogers is at this point. I have no idea who this guy is.
Pearson was.
But he's playing my deck. But he's playing it differently, and I was like, I need to learn from this guy. This guy's thinking different levels to me. Like, am I better than him, or is he better than me? And then the next week we had an uproaring, and Jacob beat him on Dash, and they were both playing Dash, and I was like, oh my god, what's going on here? And then it was announced that that we were next, and they were coming down here, and they weren't the only ones coming down here. And I was just,
we were thinking, oh god, how are we gonna beat these people? We're playing so much. So
ended up being one of the best days of me playing this game ever.
I think it's one of my favorite weekends to date.
Yeah.
So I was on Warrior. I'd been playing it for a while. I was on kind of like this go wide build with Scars, Life for Life, Nature's Path. I wasn't on Nature's Path program. I was on
Warrior's Valor.
Warrior's Valors and 9 Shunts for the mirror, because Warrior's quite popular.
Yeah.
So a bit of a crazy deck. But anyway, we were playing a whole bunch and really getting into the game competitively, trying to think deeper, and also kind of training some of our local players up.
Yeah.
And when they came down here for Road to Nats, it was a really exciting event with lots of people here.
Yeah. I can't remember what round. I think I managed to avoid them for my first, second, and third round, and then I think in the third round I played against Jacob, and he schooled me. He destroyed me, and I was just felt defeated, and I was like, this guy's miles above me. I'm like, I'm terrible. I need to learn. So I sat down for I played my next few rounds, and they were just a bit easier matchups, but we get to the top 8, and both me and Dan made it into the top 8.
Yeah, so I actually played Matt Rogers early on Swiss, and I lost. I've still not beat the man. I lost, but I felt like I learned so much from the game that I got more excited to play him again. And this whole event was streamed. Yeah. So you can actually still watch these matches on this YouTube channel.
Yeah, on the YouTube channel,
So if you're curious, you can watch how rough we were back then in the game. But anyway, we both make it into top 8. I squeak in. I was 8th place. And I play Nick Anderson, He was a really nice guy from Auckland. I managed to beat him, and then I lost to Matt Rogers in the semi-finals.
Yeah, so
but that was a really exciting game. I felt I learned a lot from that as well.
Yeah, I ended up playing a Brute on my first top 8 matchup, which at that point, dash control just destroys Brute.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a match.
Smash was not a thing yet.
Yeah, it just dash control destroyed it.
Yeah, so this was still Arcane Rising meta.
And I ended up beating this Brute player, and then my next matchup, which was my semi-final matchup, was against Jacob, a rematch. So we both got our rematches, and me and Jacob ended up going very tight. It was 1-2 by the end of it, and we were both like forcing each other's cards out, and he just had a little bit more life gain than me, so he ended up taking it. But I closed so much of a skill gap from our first game to that game. It was incredible to know how much I had learned, how much I'd taken away, and what I needed to improve on. Yeah. And he just taught me so many different things. Yeah,
I felt this was a really big learning moment for Flesh and Blood Dunedin in general.
Yeah.
It was the first time Dunedin had been able to play against some of the superstars that had been at the calling, and some of the really, really best players in the world.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting, and we got to have drinks and
we had drinks and dinners with these guys, and we got to get to know them on a more personal level, and we just sort of kicked it off, really. And then we decided to go to the doubleheader weekend in Wellington, which they were both going to.
It really lit our fires for competitive play.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were really excited, so we were grinding XP to try and get to nationals, all starry-eyed.
Yeah.
So we go to this Wellington doubleheader event, which we didn't perform so well at, but definitely learnt a lot.
First day was a bit rough. We made some bold choices the night before. We weren't hungover, but we made some bold choices. Went out for a few drinks.
We were probably drunk.
We were probably drunk, but we weren't terribly hungover for the next day. It just wasn't good, and it just made for a long day.
Drinking before a tournament kind of becomes a bit of a theme for us, doesn't it?
Yeah. We'll get to some of those poor stories later.
We'll get to some of that in a bit.
Yeah. So we ended up playing. Playing, not doing too well, and we decided we'd have a quiet night for the next night, put in a little bit more practice.
I think for that event, although we didn't really perform so well, I think it really was about the friends we made along the way.
Yeah,
because we met so many people, we got to talk, got to discover so many.
We had dinner we went to Winner Chicken dinner with a whole bunch of the group.
Yeah,
and it was just,
Karen was there.
Yeah. His partner was there. I'm blanking on her name right now.
Ricky.
For some reason. Yeah, Ricky. And then Jacob and Matt came down, but they were in top 8, so they came down. They had to order their food, and then they had to run off
because the food had taken too long.
Yeah, so, and then I believe Ricky actually took it down for them.
Yeah, it was nice of her. So it was good food too, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get home that night, and Dan's feeling a bit under the pressure about Warrior. He wasn't feeling too confident going into the next day with Warrior.
Control Dash was really
oppressive at
really
the time.
Oppressive, and a very powerful deck. And I just didn't feel like Warrior could keep up. You could do okay on the deck, but I just felt like whenever you played against Control Dash, you had this massive upstart battle, quite uphill.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really feeling very confident. The games that I had played against Dash that I had won the previous day were against quite unrefined lists.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, as soon as I get to the top tables against these Dash players that really know what they're doing, I'm not going to make it through.
I know you bet some of those unrefined lists.
Yeah.
But you know going into it that you'd versed my list, and you knew that you'd seen me struggle against Jacob and Matt. You knew that
I knew
it was only going to get a little bit harder.
So I made the bold decision to join them. So with 3 games under my belt previously, I decided to swap to Dash for the second header.
I basically helped you put together this Control Dash list that was pretty much like mine, and you basically knew what I was doing already because you'd played against me so
many times.
And I basically just refreshed you and got you ready for it, and then
I almost made top 8 there. I was I think I ended up 4-2 or something.
Yeah.
I just didn't quite make the cut. I had a very close game against Jacob. on Guardian. I had a high octane turn where if I drawed a single blue, I would win.
Yeah.
Off 3 draws, because it was a double high octane turn and plus draws from the end of my last turn. So didn't quite make it. Bad beats, whatever.
I ended up
Had a great time though.
Yeah, I ended up playing it, and playing against Manny on Warrior, and I had a bad matchup on that. I made some terrible mistakes. They're probably, like, looking back at it, like, I just smacked myself in the head for doing. But at that point, like, I only lost one matchup and I was going good. We went into the last round of Swiss, and I was sitting at 6th seat, and I just needed, like, it was on the cusp of if I won or if I lost, I would still be in, right? There was very few matchups where if I lost, I'd be out, and most of them were, like, set for me locking in, and we were pretty sure I was locked in. But then I got paired against someone on Ninja who was a lot lower seated than me, and I didn't realize that they were a lot lower seated than me at the time. But Ninja was at that point currently in the triangle meta for beating Dash.
Yeah, so the way the meta was at the time was that Dash would beat Warrior, Warrior would beat Ninja, and Ninja would beat Dash. And Ninja was a notoriously difficult matchup for Dash.
Yeah. Notoriously difficult.
Hated
It was
by these Dash
it was just
players.
like no matter how much same amount of pressure you applied, the Ninja would just take it and then deal the same thing back.
Yeah, right.
Plus a couple the next turn, and you couldn't afford not to stop it because it just it blew out. So you go into this last matchup, and I'm already like, wow, this is not good. And basically the match went the same way. Like I got out my items very quick and just started dealing damage. But then he would just be like, I take it all, and then next turn he'd start doing his like full combo lines, and I'd be like, I can't take all that, and then that just mean my turns were less, and then he'd just keep pressuring and pressuring. And there wasn't a point where I could go, I'll just take a whole turn of that and then I'll come back. So I ended up losing that. I have no hard feelings to him. He's a great guy. I know him personally. He's a great guy. But he ended up top 8, and it gets announced, and I'm not in the top 8. I got 9th.
Oh, that's
right. I got the
oof
prize, which ended up being an extra pack, a booster pack.
That's right. I remember. Oh, that
9th,
was
which was rough.
Very unfortunate. But yeah. Anyway, Wellington was really about the friends we made along the way. Yeah, we didn't have a single like bad game, like in regards to the person we were playing. I think like everyone was lovely, and we were kind of in love with the Flesh and Blood community, and we wanted to do more for the game.
Yeah.
So so after that, the next tournament was Nelson.
I think there was one other one after that, and then it went to Nelson, and we drove up to Nelson.
Yeah, so it was a long drive.
In saying that,
Stephen was a mad lad and drove it all.
Yeah, mad lad drove both ways at all. But anyway, so the Nelson weekend one was on the release of Crucible weekend.
Yeah, and to make the event even more interesting, Auckland was on lockdown.
Yeah.
So there were no Auckland players at this event.
It was all going to be South Island only.
This was going to be the South Island Derby.
Yeah.
And we took it as an opportunity to strike, really.
Take our winnings and get to the top as quick as we can.
Exactly, right? So we drove up there, and it was a really awesome event.
Yeah.
Played at a bridge club. It's a really great venue.
Oh, let's speak about more the story of how we got up there. So we drive up to Christchurch the night before, and me and Stephen had pre-ordered 10 cases of Crucible, and we were just going to smash beers and crack these cases the day before heading up for the final day beforehand. We started heading up 2 days beforehand.
That's right.
So we get to Christchurch on the Thursday night, and we just start cracking packs, and by the end of it, we'd end up with 3 shards.
Yeah, that was nuts, wasn't it?
1 Shiner, and 2 Twinings, 2 Tunics. It was an amazing pool. It was one of the.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was just crazy. Insane. We were pretty sure because in 10 cases, getting three fables is just crazy. It's not heard of. It's
it's an
1 platoon cases, right?
Yeah. And just for reference, Christchurch is about 4 hours from Dunedin. So we're about the halfway point in our trip.
Yeah, just under. It's like 5 hours and a half to Nelson from there. So yeah, we drive up the rest of the way. We crashed the night at our stay, and We hit them for the next day. Oh, well, no, that night. So I hadn't done any Crucible tech building at that point because I'd been waiting on my cards to open them and that. Whereas Dan, however, had been doing a little bit more research and he'd put time and effort into building his deck.
So I made a brave decision that weekend, and I played exactly what I had been playing already. I put Warrior together with the new cards from Crucible.
Hit and runs
Yeah,
were good.
well, no, I wasn't playing Hit and Run, actually. I was playing Spoils of War, and just some of the good stuff. So I had been working on a kind of control warrior list. Basically, all it was meant to do was the deck folded to any other control list, but I didn't think they would be popular because the set had just come out, and I thought people would want to try something that wasn't Dash, and I was largely right. And aggro decks were super popular, and I built my deck to beat aggro. It was about pitching my reds so that I would have a strong late game, using Shunts and Tunic to take control of the mid game against Warrior Mirrors, and using Remembrance on Red Warriors and Valors just to win the late game super hard. I wasn't doing anything fancy. Didn't have any Command and Conquers in my list, didn't have any Strikes in my list. It was just Warrior all the way, baby. And it worked. It really did. But yeah, what was your build?
So most of these guys went to bed that night, and I ended up staying up because I couldn't decide on the list because I was in very, very fear of Arg Smash.
Two different heroes, weren't you?
I was stuck between Dash, who'd be my main, and I knew a good control list would do really well, but I knew Arg Smash being out there meant that I was going to have a lot more tougher. Yeah, I was worried that I was just going to instant lose to these brute heroes and not make it far.
Yeah.
So I ended up putting some time and effort into a ninja list, which I hadn't played in much, but I knew how ninja worked pretty well, and it was an alright list. Going back to it, was definitely some things I changed about it. Ended up using the Soul Beads line and the Leg Tap line largely, and a little bit of the Surging line.
Yeah.
Just because it ended up being really consistent block 3s, resource.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went in and my first matchup was against Brute.
So you were feeling pretty happy.
I was like, oh god.
Ninja?
Yeah.
Yeah. I ended up unfortunately knocking you out.
So we ended up going to time. I'm pretty sure we had a 5-minute extension due to a mistake that happened in our matchup.
We had a rules question. So we had a 5-minute extension.
Yeah.
But we both ended up going to decking, I think.
Yeah. We were down to last cards, and I made a serious misblock from the 2 blows on my hand, and it ended up giving you enough to attack again. And
and
I had a blue that blocked for 3 and a blue that blocked for 2 in my hand, and for some reason it left my mind, and I blocked with the 2 instead of the blue for 3.
Yeah.
And that ended up you getting to activate bolters and attack again.
Yep.
Which was unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a good game. Like it was very
close.
tight, close.
Mistakes are going to happen because we were unfamiliar with the cards.
Yeah.
But
But you ended up making top 8 again, and not only you made it top 8, one of the guys we came up with also made top 8 as well. Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Forrester.
Why am I thinking of Kenny Rogers? I'm just like, music.
We've got another mate called Callum Rogers who plays with us a lot. So that's where that's
They're both alike. They're very similar.
No,
they're gonna watch this later. They're basically twins in my eyes.
Kenny's gonna watch this and be like, and Callum's gonna watch this and be like, no.
Twins. Quota twins. I'm gonna next time I see Callum, I'm gonna be Callum Forrester. And he's gonna be like, what?
Yes, so my deck was working really well. I was playing against ninjas and warrior mirrors, and I just felt so comfortable.
Yeah.
That's where I've been. And I make it to the finals.
Before this, actually, you pre-leading to this, we'd been watching for the side of, what's his name? Right. Jason Long
from Christchurch.
Playing what is to be called a Ninja Turtle list.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very block-heavy deck with drones and that just Kadashi, something else if he has it.
I ended up matching against this, and
pre-leading to this, you actually saw him play against another warrior player.
Yeah, and just watching him get crushed.
Yeah,
like the ninja was turtled up, knives out, just dishing out damage, and the warrior was just trying to get something through, and nothing could get through. All the flakes, the unmovables.
This was a go wide ninja warrior as well, which
so he would have had a better matchup verse it than I did because I was just go tall.
Yeah.
So I was really concerned. And anyway, I played this game and I ended up taking out all my defense reactions, trying to go as aggressive as possible. And I start the game, I try to be as aggressive as possible, and it's just not working. I try to slow down the game, and that's not working either. I end up taking too much damage. And yeah, I was just trying to work out this matchup in real time. And it was just kind of a lost cause, honestly.
Yeah. Watching it from the side, it was actually pretty sad to watch. Yeah. It's just it like
the matchup
what you did was
one-sided.
Just, it was just super one-sided, and it felt like there was no stress, no beads of sweat on Jason's head.
Yeah. I do remember Jason. I decked, and then Jason suddenly realized that he was out of cards as well. That I was out of cards, so I think he was thinking the matchup was a bit harder than it really was.
Yeah.
But congrats to him, because he had the meta sorted. He had also worked out that aggro was going to be popular, and just built the deck to beat the tournament.
Yeah.
So that
did very well.
That was a really great experience and an awesome time. We had many great meals and
yeah.
And that kind of carries us through to today with nationals and the calling, and that's kind of our competitive history, really. Just in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So we're really keen competitive players, and we're hoping in this podcast to give you some meta insight.
Not too overly meta. We don't want to burrow ourselves deep into. We want to be as light as possible.
The idea is that we want to be a podcast where people can watch casually and get it, but we're also going to have a little bit of a competitive element. So if you want to see what is happening in Dunedin competitively, what we're playing, then this is the place to be. Yeah. So really exciting stuff up and coming. Should we get to our next section?
Yeah.
So we've got the section that we've come up with that we're going to do every week. It's called Card of the Week, and we're going to talk about a card that excites us. So it might be an underused card, or an interesting card, or a card with new relevance to it. And this week, we've got Art of War.
Yeah.
So cool. So,
Art of War is a yellow 1-cost instant, generic instant. It has beautiful artwork, I might add. This is one of the great cards of artworks, in my opinion. But it has an effect of you choose 2 modes from the card, and there are 4 modes on the cards. And the modes read, attack actions you control gain +1 attack and +1 defense this turn. The next one is, the next attack action card you play this turn gains Go Again. Mm-hmm. The third one is, until the end of the turn, you may defend with attack action cards from your arsenal.
Yeah.
And the fourth one, which is one most people generally use, is you may banish an attack action card from your hand, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So the reason we've chosen this card this week is it has some
added relevance
for this current set for Monarch.
So the history of Art of War at the moment is it's been mainly played in Ninja decks, and seen some play in
Rhino
and brute combo decks. So the benefits of this card is that when you combine it with Tunic or Free Resource, is it allows you to get basically a 5-card hand and increase the power of your attack actions with the +1 ability. Or give your attacks Go Again on impactful cards like Command and Conquer and such.
Yeah.
So, but what we never thought of was an upside was banishing an attack action card.
Yeah.
That's now an upside. With these
being
new
able
heroes.
to banish cards from both Olivier and Kane that have blood debt and have added effects from when they get played from...
So this card is just raw upside.
So this card is... I mean, I haven't really seen it increase in value. I would actually expect it to increase in value because of this.
I think this card is going to be seeing a lot of play in those decks.
Yeah.
So, especially with Chain, because you're going wide with a lot of cards that you're playing from your banish zone. You're banishing 3 or 4 cards every turn.
Well, you get to banish a card from your hand that's going to have Go Again, or not Go Again, but have be able to play, and then you get to draw 2, and then you get to activate Kane's effect of creating a Soul Shackle, and then getting to play multiple cards.
Exactly.
Apologies for that.
That's all right. So you get to banish an attack action, which you're going to be able to play from your banish zone. Yeah. So it's not even really a downside. It just reads, draw 2 cards, give your attack actions +1. For 1 cost, which is insane, and that's not it. This card does so much now. It's an instant, so it's even a combat.
It's also a very, very safe way to ensure that you don't die to blood debt during Livia.
Yep.
So the blood debt in the cane works as a banishing cards. Well, we're not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, 100%. So it banishes cards from the top of your deck.
Yeah.
At the start of your turn.
Whereas Livia banishes from the graveyard or banish from hand, stops her blood debts going off.
Yep.
So there isn't a current way to stop the blood debts from Kane, but there is one way to stop.
You just play all the cards, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. But with Livia, you can't really play many cards from your banish zone. That's the idea. So you're hoping to banish cards from your
a
graveyard.
6+ attack and from either your graveyard or your hand, and that turns her off the turn.
Yeah, and it can be a bit random because you have this ability that randomly banishes 3 cards from your graveyard. And if your graveyard isn't fully set up, this can be a problem. If you end up taking 4 or 5 arcane, unblockable damage at the end of your turn, this is a card that really easily guaranteed stops you taking damage. You put a 6 attack in your banish zone from this card, blood debt's turned off, and your attack has go again, so you can come in with the club.
And you've just drawn 2 cards as well, so, you got something else to do as well.
This card is amazing.
You can even banish a card that can go again.
Yeah, so... Yeah, this card is really cool. Definitely look into getting some Art of Wars for your Livia decks and your Chain decks. This is a Shadow All-Star. And it will synergize well with Shadow Heroes in the future as well. For the Light Heroes, I can actually see it being very good in Bolton as well.
Yes, very good for Bolton. I don't think you would see much play in Prism. I don't think it is.
No. Giving the card go again is pretty good because her attacks are quite popular, but I don't think it's as good as Bolton.
Yeah.
So Bolton's hero ability reads if you give if a card has more attack than its printed value. So if you say give it +1 from Art of War, then you can activate its second ability, which gives it go again.
But you have to have charge that turn.
With his light card ability. No, it's just
no, both of them say if you've charged this turn, I'm pretty sure.
No,
does it?
Bolton
doesn't?
Bolton has if it's the charged value, it gets +1.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
and then it says attacks reaction. If you have charged this turn,
so the first ability is if you've charged this turn, they get +1 if they block with an attack action. Yeah. The second ability is just remove a card from Soul if it's higher base. So Art of War gives you the higher base attack without having to charge. Yeah. So that you can give your attacks go again. And
if you already have cards in your Soul,
And of course, we now know with the light equipment that he's going to be able to generate resource really easily because his ability lets you pitch light cards to get extra resource, basically. Yeah.
Well, no, that's what you're thinking of is the Vestiges of Soul, which is
the
light
legendary
equipment for both the light classes. Yeah.
So, again, Art of War synergizes really well with free energy. So just definitely a card to look out for. That's our card of the week.
Yeah. So that brings us to our next thing. I'm actually going to drop some bombs on the people that are currently in this room and surprise some people. I have some some information that I've been holding to myself for a couple of days now that a couple of people down here in the south will know, and maybe a couple of people up in Auckland will know, and not many people outside of that. So long been coming, I've been basically not selling myself fully out of Flesh and Blood, but selling extra cards to make a bit of cash on the side to help me buy a house.
That's right. We're getting a fab house in Dunedin.
And I got pre-approved just going into last week, and 2 days ago I put an offer, well, not 2 days ago, the day before yesterday, I put an offer, that is 2 days ago, I put an offer on a house and found out 2 hours after it that I've been accepted, and I'm now officially a homeowner thanks to Flesh and Blood.
Congratulations.
Flesh and Blood has paid for me for a house, for a deposit on a house.
Those alpha games.
Those alpha games. So, and this has been a long dream coming of mine to get a house. I'm pretty happy. There are a lot of people out there that I have to thank in this community for it, and it's just great.
Hopefully all those people that have
there'll be a post coming out shortly, and a few messages going out to some important people in the fab community that have made this dream possible for me. It's really, great, really amazing. Awesome. I'm really happy.
Yeah, definitely. Really exciting thing that's happened that wouldn't really be possible without not in this amount of time.
Without
Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and Blood blowing up the way it has.
So
It's incredible.
The success of this game, we're so passionate about it, and we want to keep making content for it. So if you guys are listening and want to contribute, the easiest way you can would be to give us some recommendations for a name.
Yeah. So we don't have a name for this podcast, but we need a name for this podcast.
Exactly.
And we can't for the life of us think of anything witty and punny that is just what we want. So we've decided that we might leave it up to you guys to put some suggestions into the comment section or send us a private message. And we'll have a look at them next week all together.
Yep.
And if there's one we like there amongst it, we'll pick it. If not, we'll go on to the next week and see if we can get more. I mean...
Well, I think we should probably try and get it.
We'll try and get it next week.
We'll see. We're quite picky.
We're quite picky,
yeah, we're really excited to be doing this podcast. If you've got any feedback, let us know.
Yeah. I'd be happy to hear any comments or suggestions. Anything you would like to see, that'd be cool.
Or if you'd like to be on the podcast, just give us a shout. You can message us at Daniel Reel on Facebook, Nick Spence on Facebook, or Dice Jar Games.
Yeah.
We're about ready to sign off. Is there any
I just want to say thank you, Dice Jar, for allowing us to be able to do this. It's
all this equipment is sponsored by Greg from Dice Jar, so we're really thankful.
Puts a lot of effort in outside the scenes that people don't see.
Staying late when he's not open.
Yeah, not even open today, and he's here for us to provide us, to let us do this.
Big thanks for our stream manager. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And like and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Thanks for tuning into the Fab Podcast.
The Fab Podcast. No, stop the name.